Good morning, everybody. It's Miss Sinclair. It's Monday, March 22nd, and we're coming back for day 2 of box and whisker plots. And we're going to do this again for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the first time we went through this lesson, it was a little sketchy as far as how comfortable everybody felt with the lesson. And secondly, several of you guys were home for contact tracing, and so I just wanted to kind of circle back around to this. The other thing is I feel like the notes that we organized the first time were not as clear as they could have been. So I'm going to ask you to do something I know you're going to hate, but I think it's important to make sure that the information we have in our books is as clear and as accurate as possible. So I want you to tear out those pages from your notes. I think there was one page we did before. I want you to get rid of that. We're going to come back and look at this again. So here are the new notes. So if you need to pause this video at any point in time, just to make sure that you can get this reorganized, that would be perfect. Box and whisker plots looks at 5 data points. So we were pretty clear on this point. There's the minimum score, the maximum score, and the middle score. And those were pretty easy. Then we found that there's a first and third quartile. And what you do with the first and third quartile is you look for the median of the lower scores here and the median of the upper scores here. So we're going to practice some of that together. Here's a drawing of what those data points look like and where they're located. The lower quartile, or the minimum score, here's the first quartile, the middle, the third quartile, and then the highest score, the upper score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points. One thing we didn't talk about, and I think is important to put in our notes, the term quartile itself gives us a clue that that's a quarter of, or 1/4 of, each part of the plot. So here's 1/4 down here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here. So when they talk about what's the percent of the inner quartile range, this would be 2 of the 4 sections, so it would be 50% or half of the diagram. The other thing we talked about and we had some confusion about and I want to clarify a little bit more is what does it mean when they talk about the variability in box plots? The variability they call the inner quartile range. So let's see what that means. Here's quartile 3 and quartile 1, and this whole thing right here is considered the inner quartile. When you throw the word range in there, what you're looking for is the difference between the two. So quartile 3 would be the higher number, quartile 1 would be the lower number, and you're going to subtract those two to get what's called the inner quartile range. And then we also want to add that the larger the inner quartile range, the greater the variability. So if this is super squeezed together, it's got very little variability. If it's all spread out, it has greater variability. So I just wanted to have a chance for us to talk about those notes with a greater understanding, to clarify a couple of questions that we ran into the first time, and to give you a chance to make that look better in your mind. Okay? All right, so let's do this. Your assignment today is in Kami. You'll be able to find it there. We've got a couple of pages. We're going to do just some practice. This page is pretty basic. It's not very difficult, so we're going to start here and just do some basic questions, okay? What is the range? The range of the entire plan. Okay, it doesn't say interquartile range, it says the entire range. So the range would be the high score minus the low score. So the high score is 27 and the low score is 10. So the range would be 17. What would 13 be called? And again, 13 is right here. So what are we going to call, what is that data point called? Okay, you've got that in your book right here. First quartile. And the median, where's the middle number? Right here's the middle. Middle number is 18. What fraction represents the numbers between 21 and 27? So here's 21, here's 27. And we talked about that, what the fraction is of each of those sections. So this section is going to be 1/4. What's the upper median? That is the third quartile is 21. And the upper extreme, way out here, upper extreme is 27. So that's pretty straightforward. That's just locating those 5 data points and noting what they are. So let's move on to the other page. So this one gets a little bit more in-depth, okay? And we're going to do some of this together. What is the median score? So the median, again, is going to be the middle. And the middle score is 80. What percent of the students scored between a 70 and a 90? So here's 70 and here's 90. So what percent would that be? Now remember, these are all quarters. So 2 quarters, what percent is that? Half, right? What percent? That's 50%. What was the lowest score on the quiz? 65. We're going to skip D for now and come back to that one. That's a little more complicated, so I want to do that at the end. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way. What's the range of the data? The high score is 100, the low score is 65. So the range is 35. And the interquartile range, okay, Q3 minus Q1, interquartile range is 20. So I left this one until last, and that's because when I looked at that, I came up with an answer different from what the publisher said. So then I passed it on to Ms. Smidra and Mr. Albright, and we had sort of a back and forth conversation about it through text about how to solve this one. So here's what we came up with. Let me show you. If 8 kids scored between 65 and 70, so if here, this range right here, there were 8 students. One of those students got a 65. And up here on this end, one student got a 100. Those are the extremes, right? So if I take away that 1, what I get is I get 7 left. And so each quartile would equal a 7. 7 times 4 is 28, plus the 2 extremes make 30. So the score for question D was 30. I thought that was a little complicated, but after I thought about it, that makes sense. I'm not sure we'll have a lot of questions like that on our quiz, but that's just to give you an idea of how that question worked out. And I want to do one more. This is height of boys and girls in PE class. Who has the greater measure of center? So center for boys is here. Center for girls is here. So obviously the boys are taller, right? Greater variability. Now that's when we take the interquartile range. So we're going to say for girls it's 170 minus, and let's see, what would that number be? It's halfway between 158 and 164. That would be a 161 is halfway. So their variability is 9 centimeters. And the boys' variability, let's see, this is 185, 86, so let's say 186 and 179. Okay, So their variability is 7 centimeters. The girl is 9 centimeters. So this will be girls have the greater variability. What percent of girls are less than 170 centimeters? Well, here's the 170. And if we do the 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, what percentage are below 170? 75%. 3/4. What percent of boys are less than 179? So here's 179. 25%. Does that make sense? 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. I think that does. If 12 girls are greater than 170, so if there's 12 up here minus the one on the end, that makes it 11, right? So 11 times 4, 11, 11, 11, 11. That's 44, 45, 46. 46 girls. And about how much greater is the median for the boys than for the girls? The median for the boys is 179, and the median for the girls is 164. It's not 179, look. It's 180, it's 186. Sorry about that. 186 minus 164. Okay, 22 centimeters. Okay. So just a little bit extra practice. All right, I'm going to have you turn you loose. I want you to do 3 and 4 on your own. I want you to do 7 through 13 on this page. Turn that in using Kami. So those are your 2 things to work on today. Here, here, and here. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're still working from home and you want some time to meet to talk about your assignments or ask questions, send me a quick message, and I'm available every day at 8 a.m. All right? Hope you guys at home are doing okay, and I will see you soon. Bye now.